Continued Apple app review process issue with regards to subscription duration is the theme for this week. Hello, you're watching the development vlog for Shokken, a restaurant waitlist management tool that is currently available on Google Play Store and soon to be available on iOS App Store. This is Bill from Shokken, and this is week 72 of development. The current status, as I just mentioned, the Android app is ready and available for download and use on the store. However, the iOS app received another rejection last week, and the issue and a key contention continues to be the minimum subscription duration. They actually gave me a call 2 days ago. Can you believe that? It's actually a thing that they do. They give you a call. I can never actually expect Google to do that. But anyway, so an agent gave me a call and we talked very briefly on the phone. The agent is very nice, and she did inform me that she'd looked into the policies and they said that the non-renewing subscriptions also would have to be at least 7 days long. But, I've published a couple of update videos talking about me digging into their app review guidelines and their text and whatnot, and all the evidence, including online developer discussions, point towards the fact that non-renewing subscriptions do not have to be at least 7 days long. It's only the auto-renewing subscriptions that do. But, I think at this point I'm beyond arguing with them. Even if it is them misapplying this particular policy, I can't afford to sit here and spin my wheels with them and to try to get them to understand what they're saying, or try to get them to understand what is correct per their guidelines. And the most frustrating part about this is that my justification for using fewer than 7 days in my non-renewing subscriptions is not just coming from their language, but also it's coming from the tools they use. So for any payments, in-app purchases, consumables, subscriptions, both non-renewing and renewing, you'd have to use their App Store Connect tools to create those products before you can list them in your app. The tool itself allows you to create non-renewing subscriptions that are less than 7 days long. And this is particularly confusing because the tool does enforce a minimum of 7 days subscription duration for auto-renewing subscriptions. So in other words, not only does their language in the app review guidelines tell you that you can do this, in other words, less than 7 days for non-renewing subscriptions, the tool to create those products, the SKUs for you to be able to list them in your app, also agrees with the ability to create anything less than 7 days. And then now the agent is telling me that you can't do that. In any case, I'm not trying to, that's it. This is the third rejection for the very same reason. I'm not going to continue to deal with them on that issue. So the agent did very helpfully suggest that I should convert that into consumables. In other words, instead of creating them in the tool as non-renewing subscriptions, I would create them as consumables and then allow the user to buy those 1 to 3 day passes using consumables, which is interesting. If you think about this, it's like, well, then why do you have the restrictions in the first place if they can buy consumables? In any case, I'm not trying to figure that out. I'm not trying to argue with them again. The next part of this is to convert the 1 to 3 day passes from non-renewing subscriptions into consumables and then re-implement that. That said, though, this is not the blast radius for this particular change is actually larger than you would expect. Backend needs to change, frontend needs to change, my functions need to change, database would have to change as well, and RevenueCat integration would have to change too. So there's a lot of changes that need to be done for this particular what might seem to be a very minor change to take place. In any case, I really don't have too many options here, so that's the plan going forward. Changing non-renewing subscriptions for 1 to 3 day passes to consumables. That's it for this week. I don't really foresee myself being able to accomplish this until after I hit dry land, but that's the plan. I'll see you next week.